So in painting too, we've been using brown quite a bit to desaturate our really pure, strong colors. But now we don't have brown acrylic paint, so it's important to learn how to desaturate when you don't have a brown. You might be tempted to use black, but that's not always the best choice. It works if you're working with something cool like a blue, but if you want to keep things kind of warm and natural, you need to think about complementary colors. So if you think back to painting 1, if you mix straight across the color wheel, so here we have violet across from yellow, to make a desaturated yellow, you're adding a tiny bit of violet. Same is true with your greens, and orange would be a tiny bit of blue. So always think of looking across your color wheel and mixing in the complementary color if what you're trying to do is to desaturate it. We're just going to do this with a few today. We're going to start with yellow. Making yellow desaturated with black looks terrible. It usually goes kind of a weird greenish color. Instead, we're going to desaturate it with purple. So I'm going to take this blue and red together and make a purple. And it's a really dark purple. You could leave it that way, or you could try lightening it with just a teeny bit of white. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just going to grab a small amount of white to mix into the purple. I can see when I did this that I have too much red, so it's more of a red purple. So I'm going to add just a teeny bit more blue to it, so I get sort of just a true kind of violet color. There we go. Okay, so if I take this, and I don't want to add a whole bunch, so I'm going to take most of it off of my palette knife, grab some of my yellow, just put a tiny bit of that violet in there. So it's still a yellow, but now it's kind of a soft, more like that yellow ochre paint that we were using before. So this is how you would get your yellow ochre, by adding a tiny bit of violet to the yellow. Another one that's nice to work with would be desaturating orange. So I'm going to start by mixing up an orange. Okay, so if I were trying to paint a piece of fruit, I might have something, I want to have a really natural looking orange, and this is just way, way, way too strong and saturated. So I'm going to take this orange and add its complementary hue, which is just a teeny, teeny, teeny bit of blue to it. Not too much. If I take too much, it'll go brown. So just a teeny bit of blue into the orange. And you can see that's probably even too much. I'm going to add just a bit more yellow and red to it. There we go. So here we have more of a natural orange, something that you might see in nature as opposed to something that's coming out of the tube. You can do the same things with other things, like you could desaturate your purple by adding a teeny bit of yellow to it. So I could take this purple, just a tiny bit of yellow in there. That's going to warm it up and tone it down. I could do the same thing with my blue. So let's say I'm painting a blue sky. I could lighten it a bit and add just a teeny speck of orange to it, just the tiniest bit, so that it's still a blue, but now it's just slightly more natural looking and less really acidic. Okay, so all desaturated colors by using the complementary color. Now, of course, we've already been working with the reds and the greens when we did landscape work. If you have a green and you're trying to do trees with it, that's just a crazy green. You would never see a tree or grass that kind of green color. You can add a teeny bit of red to your dark greens, and that's going to make it more of a natural green. Okay, for a lighter green, you could take your dark green, add some yellow to it so it's a bit lighter, Or you could even kind of mix up that yellow ochre color. Let's do that. We'll grab this yellow ochre, mix that with some green. Still a bright, happy green, but a little bit less saturated because it was a desaturated yellow. So that's how you can work across the color wheel to make your desaturated colors. I hope you have fun with your painting projects, and I can't wait to see what you make.